guys, welcome back. Yesterday we stopped after we read part 5 of the scholarship jacket. Now remember, our goal is to make inferences and look at point of view. So today, let's pick back up looking at the questions from part 5. Our first question says, why won't Martha's grandfather pay for the jacket? Go ahead and type your answer for me. Why won't Martha's grandfather pay for the jacket? Alright, Torin, what do you think? What does that mean? Why?
Because this year the board decided to change things up and charge the scholarship jacket for $15. And it used to be free, but Martha's grandfather doesn't want to pay for it because it's not free.
Right. And we know, what does the word scholarship mean?
It's free. It's already paid for. You get it for right.
Scholarship means free, right? So when you think of the word scholarship jacket, Grandpa thinks of it as the jacket should be what?
Free.
Right. Why does he think it should be free? Because Martha, did she earn it or what?
She earned it.
She's worked hard her whole entire life to make good grades, right? So he feels like she earned this. Okay? So he thinks it should be free because she's busted her fanny all those eight years in school to make good grades, and so she should be able to receive it free.
I was asking, in Mexico, do they have kindergarten since she's in 8th grade?
I have no idea. That's something we'll have to look up and
She's
see.
been working for 8 years.
Okay, I don't really know that much about the school system in the Mexican heritage, Hispanic heritage. I don't know. We'll have to look it up and see. Okay. All right, going to the next question. What does it mean when she says she understands that the jacket is not a matter of money? If it was a matter of money, don't you think Grandpa would pay it? It may be hard, but it's not a matter of money. Do not open it. Okay? So it says, it is not a matter of money. If it's not a matter of money, what is it? Anybody know? Yes.
It means that it doesn't matter how it costs, it matters how you earn it.
Very good.
You deserve it.
Right. He would have paid it. But it's the matter of fact that
It's supposed to be a scholarship.
it's supposed to be a scholarship jacket.
Which means it's free because it's a scholarship.
Very good, which means it's free because it is, that's what we know about the word scholarship. Okay? So that's why he says, or she says, it's not a matter of money. It's the matter of right and wrong. Okay? And the last question. How does the first person point of view limit your understanding of what the principal is thinking? Yes, sir.
Because it's not coming from his point of view.
Right. It's not. We don't know what he's saying, do we? Not really. We know a little bit, but do we know what he's thinking? What he's feeling? No, because first person point of view. What are those words that we use to know that it's first person? Annabelle?
I, we, us.
He, she. Okay. And it doesn't say, like, with the principal talking, I cannot give you the jacket, that type of thing, because of this. It's what he's saying to her and the way she's interpreting it. Okay? And sometimes people say one thing, especially in your text messages, guys. You can say something in text message and somebody read it in a completely different way you mean. So that's why it's very important to talk face to face, especially when it's on a difficult subject. Okay? Because I know sometimes my mom can interpret my text in a different way than I meant to. Okay? She may think that something's wrong based on what I texted her, but yet nothing is. Okay? So it's important to know what people really mean. Alright, going on, let's go to part 6. So let's go back to our story and let's read part 6 together. Okay, darn it. We'll make an exception in your case. I'll tell the board, you'll get your jacket. I could hardly believe it. I spoke in a trembling rush. Oh, thank you, sir. Suddenly I felt great. I didn't know about adrenaline in those days, but I knew something was pumping through me, making me feel as tall as the sky. I wanted to yell, jump, run the mile, do something. I ran out so I could cry in the hall where there was no one to see me. At the end of the day, Mr. Schmidt winked at me and said, I hear you're getting a scholarship jacket this year. His face looked as happy and innocent as a baby's, but I knew better. Without answering, I gave him a quick hug and ran to the bus. I cried on the walk home again, but this time because I was so happy. I couldn't wait to tell Grandpa and ran straight to the field. I joined him en row where he was working, and without saying anything, I crouched down and started pulling up the weeds with my hands. Grandpa worked alongside me for a few minutes, but he didn't ask what happened. I think I skipped a part, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, let's go back up. I'm losing my mind. Let's actually read part 5. Why, he finally asked, your grandfather has the money. Doesn't he own a small bean farm? I looked at him, forcing my eyes to stay dry. He said if I had to pay for it, then it wouldn't be a scholarship jacket. I said and stood up to leave. I guess you'll just have to give it to Joanne. I hadn't meant to say that. It had just slipped out. I was almost to the door when he stopped me. Martha, wait. I turned and looked at him waiting. What did he want now? I could feel my heart pounding. Something bitter and vile tasting was coming up in my mouth. I was afraid I was going to be sick. I didn't need sympathy speeches. He sighed loudly at me, biting his lip as if thinking. So, let's look at this. Why do you think the principal changed his mind? What does it say in the story that makes you know that he changed his mind? Do we know yet? Well, we kind of do because I read it wrong. But he called her back, right? He didn't just let her walk out the door. He called her back. So, let's go. You can click in the box. It's a text box. You can type in it. Details from the story. He called her back called her back into his office. He looked as if he was what? What did it say in that very last sentence of part 5?
Thinking. As if he was thinking.
Yes, he looked as if he was thinking. So, based on what you know and your experiences, what does that tell you? What do you think he's thinking about? Okay? So, he may have changed his mind. So, you said he's probably going to give her the jacket, right? So, let's see, my experience. you think he may say, I'm sorry? I wasn't thinking right? Don't you think that he may feel bad now? So our inference is going to be what Josie said. He's going to give her the jacket. Now, is that the right thing or the wrong thing?
The right
So in the end, he's going to do the right thing. While y'all are finishing typing this, I'm going to actually read part 7, even though I read a lot of it just a minute ago. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the story. Okay? Okay, darn it. We'll make an exception in your case. I'll tell the board you'll get your jacket. I could hardly believe it. I spoke in a trembling rush. Oh, thank you, sir. Suddenly I felt great. I didn't know about adrenaline in those days, but I knew something was pumping through me, making me feel as tall as the sky. I wanted to yell, jump, run the mile, do something. I ran out so I could cry in the hall where there was no one to see me. At the end of the day, Mr. Smith winked at me and said, I hear you're getting a scholarship jacket this year. His face looked as happy and innocent as a baby's, but I knew better. Without answering, I gave him a quick hug and ran to the bus. I cried on the walk home again, but this time because I was so happy. I couldn't wait to tell Grandpa and ran straight to the field. I joined him in a row where he was working, and without saying anything, I crouched down and started pulling up the weeds with my hands. Grandpa worked alongside me for a few minutes, but he didn't ask what had happened. After I had a little pile of weeds between the rows, I stood up and faced him. The principal said he's making an exception for me, Grandpa, and I'm getting the jacket after all. That's after I told him what you said. Grandpa didn't say anything. He just gave me a pat on the shoulder and a smile. He pulled out the crumpled red handkerchief that he always carried in his back pocket and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Better go see if your grandmother needs any help with supper. I gave him a big grin. He didn't fool me. I skipped and ran back to the house, whistling some silly tune. So let's go to part 7. And let's talk about some things. It says on your paper, circle the phrase, making an exception. It's right at that part 6, part that I have on your paper. The line where it says, okay, darn it. It says the word exception means an exclusion or leaving out. In your own words, explain what the principal is doing for Martha. Go ahead and type your answer. What do you think he means by we're making an exception for you? Based on the definition of an exception is an exclusion or leaving out. This sentence says, we'll make an exception in your case. I'll tell the board you'll get the jacket. Anybody want to tell me what you're thinking? Right, Malachi?
I think that he's making like a chance for Martha to get the watch.
The
I mean,
watch.
not the watch, but the jacket.
The jacket, okay? Naija?
I'm still talking about something.
You're fine.
He felt like Martha should get the jacket because it was a scholarship and she'd been working hard for it.
Okay. Ethan?
It means he will give her the jacket that she deserves.
Okay. Justin?
I'll put that the principal's letting Martha have the jacket and not pay for it because she earned it and worked hard.
Very good. So he's making an exception because, yeah, the board said it's going to be paid for this year, but he finally realized that doing that to her, making her pay for it, was wrong. Okay? So he's making an exception because she actually what?
Earned it.
She earned it and she deserves the jacket. Yes, ma'am.
He's bending the rules for her.
He's bending the rules for her. Very good. I like how you're thinking.
I said that too.
Very good. So, I want to ask you something. Sidekicks. Grandpa didn't say anything to her when she told him the news. All he did was what?
Have her to say.
Pat her on the back and smile. He's a man of few words, but his actions say a lot. What do you infer there about what he's thinking and what he made her feel? Naisha?
I was gonna say that I was thinking that he knew about it.
He may have known about it, okay.
That he didn't know that she was gonna end up getting the jacket, but she knew that she would have a good point when she told the principal that a scholarship should be earned instead of paid for.
Very good. It was kind of like a, not really I told you so moment that he was feeling, but he kind of like what Anna B said. She had a pretty good point that she took to that principal. Okay, and it's almost like he knew that if she told the principal that, he would change his mind because the principal would realize how wrong they were being to her. And that's why all he had to do was pat her on the back, and it was kind of like, I told you so. Told you what I told you you'd get it, kind of thing. Okay? All right. So, well, I guess I need to go to my era. Let's go to the next slide. It says, why does Martha call this scholarship jacket our only chance? Go ahead and type your answer. Why does Martha call the scholarship our only chance? It's our only chance to get what?
A jacket from the school.
Okay? But what did the jacket represent to her?
The school. Or
What about the school?
It represented how hard she worked through the 8 years that she was in that school.
Because do you think she would receive a scholarship for anything else? Because did she participate in sports? She couldn't afford it. So this was her only chance to receive a scholarship, right? Was through her academics. So that's why it's her only chance. All right, looking at the next question. What do Mr. Boone and Mr. Smith argue about? You got to think back. What were they arguing about? Rance?
About if Martha or Joanne should get the jacket.
Very good. That's a question that's kind of right there in the text. It tells us in the story exactly what they were arguing about. Mr. Smith wanted who to get it? Martha. Mr. Boone wanted who to get it?
Joanne.
Joanne. Why did Mr. Boone want Joanne to get it? Anna B?
Because her dad was on the board and he owned the only store.
Very good. Because he was somebody, right? And obviously her family were kind of nobodies in his opinion. Alright, and the last thing it says, tell why the scholarship jacket is so important to Martha. Cite evidence from the story. So you're using lines from the story to cite your evidence of why that is so important to Martha, receiving that jacket. Once you've done that, go ahead and go to the next slide. We've kind of already talked about it, about Martha's grandfather not saying many words, but it still meant a lot to her. So go ahead and go to the next slide and answer it while I pull up our quizzes. Who can tell me what you think Martha learned from me? Okay. Monica?
Listen always to your elders, and then they can actually, at the end of the day, they can teach you something.
Okay.
And then-
Very good. Listen to what they say. Right? Yes. Hunter?
I skipped.
No, you can.
I was kind of like Malachi, but listen to your elders because they actually been through the world.
Okay. Very good. I like what you said, Annabelle. Fight for what's right. Don't give up. Doesn't that kind of go back to your dreams? What you think, Nathan?
Us, the hard work pays off and get what you deserve, because I came to this conclusion because she worked hard and deserved the jacket, so she got the jacket, which means she worked hard and got what she deserved with this jacket.
Isaac? Alright guys, let's go ahead and stop where you are here. Go ahead and let's do your quick write. To kind of sum up everything, our quick write says, think for a moment about how the scholarship would differ if it were told by another person in this story. Pick one story character, I don't care who you pick, such as the principal or the grandfather, and explain how the story would be different if it were told by that character. You're kind of having to take what we read and apply it. Let's give everybody a chance to think and write this out. Once you're finished here, the next slide says quizzes. You will click on the picture and it'll take you to the quizzes website. Then I want you to share your Google slide presentation with me so that I can go through and read your quick write.
Wait,
Okay.
what about turn it in? We can turn it in.
That won't do it. That'll just do the actual assignment. Just do share. Is it up? Okay, then never mind.
Yeah.
Then yes, go and turn it in. I guess because I sent it to y'all. I shared it with y'all, so it automatically shares with me. Y'all just turn it in to me. This quick write is going to kind of help me see if you met your learning target today. If you can make inferences and if you can talk about point of view. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and go to the My Quizzes website.
Do we send
So-
it, share it to you?
I think it's already shared with me, they said.
I just turned it in.
Game code is on the board. when you get ready for it.
Yeah, it says.
You can always finish the quick write here in a little bit, okay? No biggie. Remember, on quizzes, you do not put in weird names. Put in your name.
What was that?
Sound thing.
Isaac's first on the quizzes. In our class, Isaac's always the first.
That's because I gotta finish that quick right there. What am I starting?
Now, this is going to be kind of an extra way for me to see
So we just like start.
if you understand the story. Okay, this is just another way because I'll be able to analyze your answers to the questions to see where we may need to revisit tomorrow. Do we need to go back and look at something else tomorrow to help you better understand? Okay? Waiting on a couple people. There's 16 of you, so.
There's 10. This
Five more. 4 more. 3 more. 2. One. Alright, y'all ready to start it? Here we go. conclusion that one of those questions was wrong, right? Because I think most people missed it. Obviously, it's question 5. Let's go and look at them. Question 1 says, Martha lives with her grandparents because her parents, only 3 people missed this. Why? Why did she go to live with her grandparents?
Because her
Nice.
Because he died. They died when she was
Well, you weren't here for the first part of the story, so that was a logical guess, but not right. Who wants to fill her in? Nathan?
It's A, or too poor to feed
They're
children.
too poor to feed the children, so she went to
In the
live.
beginning, it said he was a poor labor worker.
Right.
They had 8 children. He didn't
Very
have
good.
8 children.
Alright, everybody got this one correct. Martha's grandparents supported themselves by, what is it? Say it.
Working on a farm.
Very good. Question 3. In the past, the scholarship jacket has always gone to, Rhea,
Student with the highest grades.
a student with the highest grades. But obviously, B would support who getting it? Joanne, because she's the popular kind of girl, right? Alright, question 4. The author implies that Mr. Boone did not like Martha, felt Joanne had more leadership ability, or wanted to make Joanne's father happy. Rance? It was A. It implied basically he didn't like Martha.
It's
Thing.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Wanted to make Joanne's father.
It's wanted to make Joanne's
Is
father
that it?
happy.
Yes, because he's on the board.
Yeah, because
I lied,
I
sorry.
got one more.
Alright, the principal's behavior at the time. This is the one everybody missed.
It's not
Yeah.
concerned.
Because
Who got
it said it's not concerned about fairness.
That's not true
But
at the end.
he wanted to be fair at the end, right?
So it's C.
So I would say it would be C. He does not agree with the board's
Yeah, that's
decision.
what
I
I
picked the wrong one.
That's what I
Okay.
put.
Alright. So looking at question 6. What finally triumphs in this story?
Justice.
Justice. She got justice because she ended up getting the jacket, right? And question 7. By Grandpa saying that he wouldn't pay for the jacket means what? A real award should not have to be bought. Okay.
He said, well, finally triumphs in the story, and I put justice.
That's right.
It's wrong.
It's not. No, it's not.
Does it
It
show?
says correct answer is justice.
Doesn't mean you picked
I thought
It's alright. You're just losing it kind of like me. Alright, guys. Good job working through this.
Yes,
That's right. Justice is right.
It is right.
She was looking at it in the wrong way.
correct.
She's losing her brain kind of like I am. We got to take a deep breath and pause it again. Alright, good job today. Good job working hard. We'll be doing another one of these next week. Okay, so kind of be prepared for it.